Well, we're here in the heart of the Gama Valley, which is one of the hidden valleys of Artemisia. It's one of the Belus, or one of these sanctuaries, created in both mystic and physical space by Guru Rinpoche when he brought the Dharma to Tibet in the 9th century. And these spaces both exist as physical refugia during times of crisis, but more importantly, they're metaphysical sanctuaries. And as Guru Rinpoche sowed these sacred valleys along the crest of the Himalaya, as if upon a bone of the earth itself, the skeleton of the earth itself, these became places where of tremendous spiritual significance. To meditate for a day in the Gama Valley was to meditate for 1,000 years anywhere else in the world. To enter the valley was to enter a radiant Buddha field that had quelled all the mountain deities and brought into being the possibility of a transcendence of the human spirit. So these valleys were, from the Buddhist perspective, this is what made it sacred. Mt Everest, Chomolangma, was never a sacred mountain. It was the environs of the flanks of Everest, the path of the pilgrims, that sanctified the landscape.
At the head of the Gama Valley towers Mt Everest. Hidden here is the mountain's seldom viewed east face. This is the largest side of the mountain, whose name local Tibetans call Qomolangma, goddess mother of the snows. Mt Everest's spectacular eastern side. Next to Chomolangma is Lhotse, the 4th highest. Further down the ridge is Makalu, the 5th highest mountain in the world. And standing outside the valley is Qomolangma, the world's 3rd highest summit. But it is Chomolonzo that towers over the valley, here, as we see, growing into morning light from sunrise. Everest's hidden valley is entered only by crossing passes that are at half atmospheric pressure. To enter is hard work, where wind-driven snows close entry for much of the year, and the weather can always surprise. In this one valley, you have a transect of the richness of life, from the subtropics through the warm temperate, through the cold temperate, to the alpine, to the Arctic-like summits of the world's highest peaks.
So we are right now in the Gama Valley. It's in the heart of the Himalaya, the core of the fastest growing, highest mountain range in the world, with incredible geology here. You have these amazing mountains rising higher than anywhere else in the world at a more rapid rate, and they're also being eroded at a more rapid rate. You have incredible earthquakes going on here. You have ice fields and glaciers coming down. We hear landslides and avalanches every day. Gama Valley.
As a giant spectrum exists in the geology, so too is the biology of the valley. The diversity of nature here can be seen through flowers. 12 species of rhododendron ascend the valley. Tall trees with giant blossoms at the valley floor in the warm temperate zone. Bushes higher up in the cold temperate areas. Then shrubs above the tree line in the alpine zone. Before this valley was recognized as Earth's highest, it was recognized as sacred. Here, where Earth comes closest to heaven, to this place came Guru Rinpoche, to a special cave. We are walking toward his cave along the shores of a sacred lake, where if the pilgrim pauses and can look onto the still waters and sees one's own reflection, then self-understanding comes. 1,000 years ago, when Guru Rinpoche came, bringing Buddhism to Tibet, he found this valley to be a special retreat.
As we came over the Lhongmala Pass yesterday, we came across a number of these beautiful, beautiful rocks which have these circular dark clusters surrounded by white aureoles in the midst of these black and white minerals that form the ground mass of this rock. They're very unusual, and it was particularly interesting that they happened right at the point at which Guru Rinpoche came across the same pass hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and created a lot of folklore, a lot of cultural descriptions of why this rock is here. And what a geologist would say is that this rock is actually a dike that cut through the ancient rocks. In here you have quartz and feldspar, plus mainly the dark minerals, pyroxene, hornblende, and so forth that exist in here. It's a very special rock. We didn't see it anywhere else on the trip. Very, very rare, and it's a particularly beautiful rock. This particular specimen is especially beautiful because it's in the shape of the cave. It's in the shape of the rock or the mountain that is overlying this beautiful cave complex that was first built in the 700s, I guess, 700, 800 years, 1300 years ago by Guru Rinpoche, just beyond the mountains between here and Chomolonzo.
Sit over there. Ta joba detarana. Teu. Yo sak you pe khan yo sak yo sak. Yo sak yo sak.
First, he talked about changes that he has seen. He was saying that in former time, when his grandpa and his great-grandpa's time, people lived alive by cutting trees and digging up those herbs, like medical herbs. But later, like QNP or National Nature Preserved happened and established, and they don't cut anything. And he has actually worked for protecting a forest for 10 years at Sakatan. And he has seen that it's just growing, the trees are growing. So that's the first part. And second part, it is now we have a lot of tourists because of QNP and because the preservation here is becoming one of the most beautiful places in the world. So a lot of tourists is coming.
The Gama Valley in the Chomolangma, or Mt Everest National Nature Preserve, equals in size the country of Denmark. It is 3 times larger than America's Yellowstone National Park. And this large national park connects across the border in Nepal to 5 protected areas. Created has been a total area of conservation equal in size to Switzerland. And working with them is a new type of villager, a change agent, termed Pendaba. The Pendaba's job is to help the villagers and also to teach the people about conservation practice. People are partners with the government here in this national park. While the initiative to create the park came from me, an outsider, it was with and by the government that the decision was made. But once the national Chinese government, then the local Tibetan government, all saw the value, an exciting partnership was formed. The Tibetan Buddhist tradition has nourished the people with an understanding of the deepest values, of their place with the land, of their place with the larger meaning of life, and it gives them patience to go forward. Colonel Howard Berry, when he left the Gama Valley in 1921, after discovering its amazing beauty, reflected in this way: when all is said about Chomolangma, the goddess mother of the world, I come back to the valley bed itself, the broad pastures where our tents lay, where a yak grazed and where butter was made, the little stream we followed up to the valley head, wandering along its well-turfed banks under the high moraine, the few rare plants of saxifrages and gentians and primulas, so well watered there, and against the blueness of the air, which charmed us, and the variable moods of mountains always friendly. The Gama Valley can be considered a museum of the wild, a wild now gone over much of Asia, but here still protected, still pristine, still without any permanent human habitation, between the two great populations of India and China, both 1 billion people each. But people do come here, taking on the challenges of half the oxygen of sea level in order to see this valley. They come working their way through Everest's blizzards and winds. The Gama Valley remains pristine, protected. In this pocket, protected by the world's highest mountains, where the original balance of nature extends still today from temperate forests through alpine meadows to Arctic heights, here is both a treasure of beauty and a statement for the world of what people can do. The highest place on the planet as a statement for perhaps the most urgent need on the planet, to hold to balance with Earth's forces.